If you've ever had one of those days where you thought, oh, I can't do anything right, have you found yourself critical of what you've done instead of surprised or pleased with what you've done? Well, there are a lot of times when we find ourselves saying all the negative things right to our own beings.
Absolutely. And to that point, Lucille Ball has this wonderful quote saying, love yourself first and everything else falls into line. You really have to love yourself to get anything done in this world. And that was actress Lucille Ball. Yeah.
Isn't that the truth? Well, welcome everyone to Lipstick Leadership. This episode is about being your best person, being your best friend, seeing the best in you, and not being your best critic. So we're turning the tables on those days when we are critical of ourselves on how to be realistic and really address that loving yourself first. Hi, I'm Debbie Lundberg of Presenting Powerfully, and I'm here with my wonderful co-host.
I'm Meridith Alexander, CEO of Grit Mindset Academy, and we are the podcast that empowers women and any men who might be listening in to create greatness through communication, resilience, and grit.
Yes. And you know what? Communication. And it's unfortunate, Meridith, if we put ourselves in a position of our own self-talk or our own self-doubt, that the resilience is coming over our own comments. So how many times have you seen or heard a woman, or perhaps it's been you, I know it's been me at times, where we just see what's wrong, and you and I know that that is a dark place to go, and it's not where we want to be or want our listeners to be. So something that really comes to mind about Lucille Ball, like you think about when she probably said that, and times were not as open for women. I think of now, and it's about really making sure that you know your own strengths and know what you bring to the table, don't you think?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think it's owning your greatness. I mean, there's so much in this, in this particular quote. For me, when I say grit, grit actually is an acronym in my world for G for greatness, R for resilience, I for intuition. So marrying the intuition with the intention, and transformation and understanding that change is your friend. And greatness, owning your story is so just critically important. And to her point, that when we are not conditioned, like you said, not conditioned. There are no games when we're children that are called what's right with this picture. The games are what's wrong with this picture, right? And so we're conditioned to look for the flaws and to feel that there's a really strange definition of perfection. And once we allow that inner narrative to really take off down a rabbit hole, then it really does paralyze us and we really don't get things done. And I think many of us forget that we do get to choose, and we can be authentic and yet still be deliberately positive. Wouldn't you say?
Yes, because the whole idea of, I say in my practice, my Lundbergisms, progress, not perfection. And the people have said that for years. And I stress that with people because it's like you could consistently be looking at what's not gotten done. So let's remind people to celebrate what it is that we've accomplished, and not in that way that we don't set goals. So I think this is a wonderful topic for thinking about love yourself. Because if you love yourself, you're willing to see what you've accomplished. And also, I like to remind people, when you lay your head on the pillow at night, you're the only person who knows if you did your best. Now, I am not as good at certain things as you are, and vice versa. And so if I hold myself to attempt to be the same as you, I'm not ever going to be that. And you'll never be the Debbie, and I'll never be the Meridith. And I remember learning a long time ago that it's like you're the first rate you, and you'll be a second rate anybody else. And to that quotation about you have to love yourself first, it's first about really like seeing yourself and deciding that who you are is either who you want to be or a version of being in progress to be who you want to be. That's
absolutely,
so
absolutely. Those are such wise words, and I would amplify them even by saying define perfection, because isn't perfection this amazing process where we set a goal and we strive toward that goal, something comes in and like some boulder lands in the middle of it, and we adjust, and inevitably that adjustment that we make makes the outcome even stronger, even better, even more beautifully. So if we were to go back through our individual lives and remove those boulders per se, we would not be nearly half as far as we are. So isn't perfection this beautiful dance between, I like to say, the moments that knock the wind out of us and the moments that take our breath away? Mm-hmm. Both are equally critical and valuable going forward. And I think when we can learn to embrace that and understand the value of both those moments that feel in the time that we're being derailed, and to look for the opportunity in them, what are they doing for us, not to us, then we start to be able to authentically change our perspective to one that is more deliberately empowering.
Yes. And that's that, like we said, that critical part. So as we look back for our listeners, if we want to be critical, that's okay. And I really want everybody to hear that Meridith and I are saying it's good to be reflective and to be critical of opportunities. It's not the critical of every single thing we do. So if you like that word or don't like that word, think about it as, are you reflecting on what you did versus what you could do? And if there's a gap, address it. So you heard so much from us in this short amount. Be a fan of yourself without the vanity. See what's right for you. Really look at the flaws and see what they benefit you to do, and how those boulders that get in the way seemingly really create a new path. And see how you define perfection, or if you even want to think about that, but that dance of where you're getting. And I'll wrap up our summary with, think about how do you talk to yourself? Is your self-talk something about what you can do and what you will do and what you are doing? Or is your self-talk about what you didn't do, what you can't do, and what you're not willing to do? Because if you stay in the former versus the latter, you will continue to move on that positive path. So thank you for joining us on this episode. To stay in touch for more tips like this, remember, I'm Debbie Lundberg, founder and CEO of Presenting Powerfully, and you can reach me at Debbie Lundberg most everywhere.
And I'm Meridith Alexander. I'm also on most of the social media. You can find me there, or you can connect with me at gritmindsetacademy.com. Just thank you so much for joining us on this episode. And if you found it of value, please go ahead and click the subscribe button so you can find more of the Lipstick Leadership episodes. And of course, if you like them, go ahead and share them with anyone you think might find value in this. And go ahead and give us 5 stars, right?
Right, because we are here for you. And we're here to serve you as Lipstick Leadership, empowering women and men to greatness through communication, resilience, and grit. Thank you again.